Alright, we're driving to Target for a Sunday shift, which is one of my favorites. One of my favorites because the people that come in the store is more, and it's more fun. Sometimes we have shifts that are a little dead while closing on. What's happened here? We close the road. Something happened. There is the polizia. The polizia. It closed the block. But yeah. And I had a nice day yesterday because I went to Camarillo to the. I really like Camarillo in general, but they had carnival, and I like carnivals. They're fun and they're cute. Kind of like going to Disneyland, but with um, less people, so it's more enjoyable. Because sometimes at Disneyland you make a line that is 70 years to get on something, but it's still fun. I like Disneyland. I recommend it if you've never been. I've never been to Disney World. I would be curious to go to Florida to Disney World. So yeah, we see a lot of families chilling. And it's kind of cute. I like doing family things with my wife and my daughter. It was fun. And yeah, I was saying like the Sunday. I don't know. I typically like more doing the afternoon shift at Target, mostly because I feel like people want to talk more, while during the morning, the people who come in is kind of groggy and a little sleepy still, so they don't want to talk too much. And I like to talk with the customers. It's always fun. I like our customers. I wonder what's happening here. Oh yeah. Trying to turn off the Bluetooth. Turn off the Bluetooth. All right. Yeah. I found a couple of bands that cover old Italian music as metal songs, and it's very cool. Like I posted yesterday the cover of the Pimpa theme song on I think on Instagram, together with the drawing that I made on Tezos, and it's very cute. I recommend you to check it. The song, it's nice, very creative. And also Tezos is an interesting chain. I kind of slept on Tezos because it's very quick, and I think it's also a token that eventually, like a chain that eventually will get more traction. It's been interesting how things have been moving since the latest bills that they passed. And I think it was good because it was time that we started some regulation and clarity in regards to crypto in the US, because you can't really build too many things with much certainty until there are rules in place. So I think it's gonna be an interesting next few months where you're gonna see a lot of movement up, because there's gonna be more capital inflow based on these regulations that I added. Is gonna help the space, because you still have to remember that for like, let's call them normies, like I count myself as a normie, but like for people in general, is there's still like this idea that the space is all a big scam, and if you start making a little bit more laws and a little bit more regulation, you're gonna see that people is gonna start to consider it more. Well, it's a great space, and there is a lot of very creative people building on it, both developers and you know, coders, artists, and I like all this mix that there is between the two. Like a lot of people who I know that are very good artists double in coding and vice versa, and I like doing both as well, because in the end everything creative is very overlapping in a certain sense, because you can create, like when you create something you still have, you know, an idea of something that you wanna complete, and you get there, you know, little by little. And it's, I think, like the key is to be constant in your endeavors. Like if you wanna learn coding, code a little bit each day. If you wanna learn more about art, do art every day. And if you are consistent in the effort that you put, you're gonna see some results. And I think it's true of everything. Like if you wanna learn something, just do it a little bit each day and be constant, even the days that you don't feel like, and you're gonna get there. And of course, like everyone is gonna get to different results based on the amount of I don't want to call it talent, but like we are all born with different cards, and of course certain people is going to end up doing better, or for lack of a better word, say interesting things. But it's still good that you do it. Like it's good for your brain to learn new things and do new things and kind of get out there. And yeah, it's something that you should definitely do. And I think the key in life is when you're interested in something to just start doing it, as opposed than just sleep on it and think, oh, I need to know this much, or I need to read this or learn this. Like, of course it's important that you learn about the techniques and the basis of things, but just do it, right? There is also this sort of ingenuity that comes from not knowing everything, that is very refreshing and very interesting. And you might do very special things just because you don't know all the rules and all the things, and of course you're gonna make mistakes, but you might also do interesting things. So don't limit yourself just because you think, oh, I'm not ready, all this kind of shit. Just do the things you want to do and that you think it would be cool. And I think is, you know, don't do things with expectation of a result, but do things that you think yourself are interesting, or and also you think other people might find useful, right? Like another thing that I learned is that it's important to do things that are useful to other people, so that they can find a value in it and support your project. It's very nice to be useful in the sense of making people's life either easier or more interesting, or just give someone a smile and make them feel like they are understood and listened. And there's plenty of things that you can do, you know. It doesn't have to be something incredible or special. Even you know, you can cook for someone, or move their car, or just listen to them. Like, you know, a lot of people just really need someone who just listen to them. So when you have a chance to have a conversation with random people, just listen to them. Like I told you, yesterday I went to Camarillo and I was staying at the house of the aunt of my wife, and you could tell that she just needed someone to talk to. So we had a very nice conversation, a very long conversation, and you know, kind of everyone has a lot on their heart, and they might just feel like they need someone to talk to, and someone who actually listens and care. And it's nice, you learn a lot of things, because you learn how many different ways there are to be a human being, and how many different ways there are to go through the same things and the same emotions in life. And is what makes life very interesting, because if you kind of lock yourself, talk only with people online, or you know, words don't talk with people at all, you're gonna end up finding yourself thinking that life is not as special as it really is, but there is so much to do and so much to try and think about, and you never know. Every conversation can lead you into seeing things differently and find some excitement that maybe you were missing, or get new ideas, and frankly just feel connected, right? There's something very beautiful in connection between all human beings, because it at times it doesn't feel like that. We are all regulated by very similar things and very similar way of thinking and mechanism, and it's just a matter to tap into that. And the only way to tap into that is to, again, talk with people and be around other people, and it becomes very special, very, very special. One thing that I found very interesting when I started restudying the Bible a little was how contemporary in a lot of themes is, in the sense that it talks about anxiety and worry about tomorrow, and like pretty much like the way that we function as human beings hasn't really changed. Like the laws that govern us inside are the same now as they were thousands of years ago, and so there's some wisdom to that, because if you think about it, like you know how to keep a franchise, like a movie series or a movie title relevant, they do all these remakes and things of that nature, right? And it's because otherwise people forget, like the value that these creations represent to people sort of fizzle out if you don't renew it through doing a sequel or a remake and all this kind of stuff, right? So if something persisted through thousands and thousands of years, and so many people of different generations found value into something, is because value is in there. So it's like if you feel like I don't know about the Bible, I don't know about God, I don't know about this, I don't know about that, that to me is a good indication that there is some value there to capture and to take home, because if something resisted for so many thousands of years, it's because there is some value to it. Otherwise, it would have been forgotten, or it would have been just lost. And instead, so many people saw it as something that gave something to them, that they kept it going. They kept it going, and they started it, and it's very interesting, like, to be honest with you, because there is so many like, I think, like, the basic approach you can have to it, if you don't have faith yet and you're not fully understanding, and just like starting by something like the book of Proverbs or the Psalms, and they're pretty wild. Like, it's so smart. Like, the Proverbs is like a collection, let's call it, of aphorism and sentences that have a very special value, and they do contain a value, even if you walk to it in a way that is very secular and you don't necessarily see yourself as religious, because they're just like, let's call them rules to good living, or suggestions for a good and healthy living. And I truly think that anyone can find value in it, and it can be a good way to start to connect with it. And I made a thread some time ago. I might make an article or something as well, about how ChatGPT and LLMs are a great way to discover things and read the Bible in an easier way. Because I'm in a Bible study group, and we started reading it using the Bible app, which is really cool, and I recommend you because you get all these devotionals and you can literally search an emotion that you have, and based on the emotion you can get like suggestions to whatever you are feeling. Yeah, that's what I said. You feel like you lost hope, or you feel like stuck. You just literally search that keyword and it gives you a devotional. And a devotional basically is something that let's call it is an article written by someone now who kind of builds some thoughts and consideration on top of some scripture, and then you have a scripture, but it's a very easy way to relate to the Bible in a more filtered and digested way, so that you can take in the good information, going over the language barrier, because sometimes some passages, are written like in a very old wording, right? It's like, if you are in English speaking, from an English speaking country, it's like very old English, or they're all like old translations, right? So having a devotional helps you to kind of break down this concept in a more digestible way for you. And then you have the related scriptures that are good, and you can also play both the devotional and the scripture as an audio file. There is like a little play button, and so let's say you're driving around, you can listen to it the same way that you would listen to a podcast, right? Or from your home, or wherever you want. And yeah, the other very cool thing is ChatGPT, because now that ChatGPT came out, I was like, wait, can I use ChatGPT to help me understand this passage? And it works incredibly well, right? When you're gonna find passages that are confusing and you're like, what does this mean, right? And so you can either use ChatGPT to literally ask, hey, what does this passage mean? Or you can just use it as a guide to read through each chapter. So what I started doing is that I literally tell it, hey ChatGPT, let's do, I don't know, Exodus 1, right? And translate it for me in contemporary English. And it does an amazing job, because it gives you the translation in a language that is clear and understandable and very relatable. And then it gives you also like a context, like a historical context, and what's the big picture of this book among all the books in the Bible. And then I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it throws up those dumb disclaimers like oh, this is a ancient worldview that might offend some people. And I'm just like, dude, like there is nothing offensive, and I think everyone can get, like, if you say, oh, wives should be respectful of their husbands, like I don't know, I feel like now there is this tendency to make everything politically correct, which is treating us all like as morons, right? So it's gonna throw up sometimes these disclaimers, and you just ignore them and you move on with your day, right? And you're reading, but yeah, that's a real problem, because I don't know, it's not that you can look at things that were created and put together and written in the past with whatever trend is going on right now in terms of all this BS, politically correct and whatnot, because it's the same thing when they started, you know, pulling down all those statues, like historical statues, but, you know, commemorated an event that, I don't know, a war, or I don't know, like the Christopher Columbus statues and statuses and all this shit. And I'm like, let's you know, a testimony of that moment in time and how people saw the world at that point in time, right? So you shouldn't erase the past or change it just so that it fits whatever narrative you are feeling is the most appropriate right now. And the sad thing is, like, it's not even that they do it most of the time out of real conviction. They do it just because they either want to capture more money, like as a brand, or they want to get more votes, right? So in the end, it's almost never out of real conviction, but it's also always out of utility and whatever is more convenient for them at that specific time. So it's really demoralizing. And that's a little bit the issue right now, I feel like. That, I mean, it's always been an issue, but at the end, the people who reaches the power, or the people who, you know, gets to be at the top, in some cases, they just want more money, right? So they don't give a damn about you having a good life, or you having a good relationship with the people you love. They just care about how much can I squeeze out of this individual and how much I can capture so that I can have more money. Approach, because if the main issue that we have as human beings, and that I think kind of hinder humanity in its growth, if we have to find one, is how short-sighted we are, that we look at things like, oh, the next 100 years, right? Because best case scenario, we're gonna live like 100 years, and then whoever comes next, fuck them, you know what I mean? Like, who cares? And it's messed up. It's messed up because we could be, who knows where we would be if instead of having this mindset, we actually look at life as something like, oh, I want to build something, you know, thinking about 300 years from now, 500 years from now, 1,000 years from now. So life is really not about capturing how much you can in terms of resources or money until when you're here, and then fuck it, fuck the rest, fuck who's coming after. Like, that is such a egoistical and short-sighted approach, and it's pretty fucking sad. And unfortunately, it's true also in a lot of political context. Like, you get elected into, you get into power, and you know that you have those 8 years to push through the things you want to push through. So it's like we always keep building and mounting and dismounting and rebuilding and putting our friends and our cousins in the position that we think we can give them, to give them an advantage. And it's really not about thinking the big picture and what is good for humanity. It's more about, oh, I got on the horse for X amount of years, so let me just ride it until the wheels falls off, right? And it's fucking stupid. It's fucking stupid, because then you can really complain too much when the opposite happens, and you just find yourself in a situation where instead of being the one able to be unjust, somebody else is being unjust to you. So you should really relate to other people with more of a mindset where you actually want to be fair and do the things that you really feel good about, and yeah, just looking at the things you do, keeping in mind other people as opposed than just you and your bank account and your cousin. Like, it's not how things should be run. But yeah, who knows? I feel like honestly AI is gonna help also with that, because a lot of decision making and politicking is kind of gonna become apparent how it needs to function, because you are going to be able to insert an element of objectivity into it. Like, it's very hard to argue with data, it's very hard to argue with mathematics. And if you have a human being calling certain shots, it's like the same way we were talking about the other day of how we're incredibly special in how we create, because you give the same creative assignment to 10 different people and they're gonna come back with 10 different things. It's also the same of everything else. So if let's say you're a judge, you are gonna be most likely skewed by your own personal experiences and what you think you know based on the things that happen to you and the cases you already judge, and you're gonna build a false sense of security and a false idea that, you know, what you encounter in life is truth. So while that is very interesting in a creative context, it can be very detrimental in other contexts. So I don't know, I think that AI in medicine is gonna be a very good thing, because you have specialties like, I don't know, dermatologists that you know, to learn how something should be diagnosed, they just look at a lot of pictures of this stuff, or in their career they learn and they see all these patients and experience, you know, how a certain things look like. And you can do the same by training an LLM, with the only difference that a model it's not gonna get old and you know, start losing his mental capacity, or is not gonna get skewed by whatever happened to them or how much sleep they got the day before, and it's gonna be good because less errors are gonna happen, and overall the human suffering related to those things is gonna be highly reduced. And yeah, it's a time where definitely we are all gonna need to learn how to live again and live differently, because it's gonna change a lot of things. And one of the main issues that I think we have now as a society is that most people tend to look at the value of individuals based on you know, what job they do or how much money they make, when now a lot of people is gonna have to rethink, like, you know, their job, or they're gonna have to change profession just because they're gonna be made obsolete by automation. And I believe it's gonna be true first for white collar jobs, and, you know, all these people that get a sense of self and security and importance and usefulness through their job. They're gonna get a big wrench thrown at them, because they're gonna have to rediscover what it means to be a human being. And I think that the value that you can capture as a human being, the real value, is what you can do to serve others, right? So serving others means, what can I do to alleviate someone's suffering, right? What can I do to make somebody's lives better? And there are things that I truly think they're never gonna go away, because we need a human to interact with. Let's say we are sick in a hospital bed and we kind of want to have a nurse, right, talking to us. We want to have some human contact. We don't want to have a Optimus Prime talking to us in bed. And I don't think that's ever gonna change. So now more than ever, it's really important that you find connection with your community and the people around you, and take interest in other people, because the more you define your sense of self away from what whatever job you do, the more you're future-proofing yourself as a human being from all these changes that are going to impact you very quickly. Because I think I was reading this morning already, I think Amazon let a lot of people go, and pretty much every company now is going to start to roll out changes where we're going to slow down a lot hiring or let people go, just because they are studying and trying to see how things are what's gonna happen, what's gonna change, how they're gonna be able to save money or swap certain things by using AI instead of using people. And yeah, I don't know, something like HR, all these situations are gonna see a big change in how they operate and they do things, because it's just a different situation, it's a different world we live in. And yeah, now more than ever, like, look around yourself and see how can I, like, let's say you're one of those people like I was that work with a computer and they stay home all day, and you literally interact only with your family or your neighbors or whatever. Try to find things to do outside the house, like look around you. Are there any volunteer groups? And if you feel strongly about a specific issue based on your past, try to help in regards to that issue, right? Like, I don't know, you feel about veterans and you would like to be nice, do something for them, look for a veteran organization. You would like to do something for the homeless community, find organizations that help the homeless community. And you're gonna find yourself in a situation where you're around so many people and you truly rediscover what it means to be a human being and how nice it is to bring a smile to someone and just make them feel special and heard and understood, and like, you know, they are not alone, there is somebody out there that actually gives a fuck. And it makes a difference. It makes a difference in the sense that slowly you're gonna start detaching your sense of self from your work and the number in your bank account, which most likely is it's gonna change, either for good or for bad, when all these changes start to roll out, because it's undoubtedly that right now is the time where you should start learning how I can implement, you know, all these new technologies into what I do, because the people who's gonna be able to figure out ways to implement this into their workload, they're gonna be the one that are gonna do better, while the one that on the other hand run away from it and hide their head in the sand, they're gonna find themselves in trouble, because it's coming. It's coming, and it's coming for everyone. And it's gonna create a lot of divide and amplify differences in our society. And I don't know, I was talking with this organization I help with, and I feel like you know, the same way that during and right after COVID, the lines at the Sunday servings were getting bigger because people were finding themselves without a way to sustain themselves. Something even bigger is gonna happen with AI. A good friend of mine, and he's a very smart man, was telling me every 5-10 years, but mostly 10 years, there is always, like, you know, a major event that really impacts the way we live. And you know, it could have been like it was since the 60s, but it could be, you know, the 2008 financial crisis, and then again COVID when it happened, and we are almost there again, right? Because it's 2025, so safe to say that around 2030 or little before or a little after, we're gonna see another major event that's gonna shake the foundation of how we live and our sense of reality and what we think we know as a given fact that most likely is gonna change. So just keep that in the back of your mind, and really whoever can implement all these technologies, because being that just on a very basic level, find better ways to organize your time or learn how to do something instead of, you know, giving it out to someone else. Like, just use it as a learning tool. Like, I want to know how to be a better accountant. How can I use this, right? I want to learn how to be a better gardener. How can I use this? And it's a great tool because it's like the sum of all the human knowledge at your fingertip, ready to get remixed based on your needs and your objectives and your point of views. And always be sure that you are in control of the outputs, because, you know, remember what I was saying not long ago about how when you ask it to translate a Bible chapter, it tells you, disclaimer, this is a worldview that might offend, blah blah blah. Like, you need to think about what you get back. Like, you can't just, you know, get whatever it spits out as the truth, right? You need to make the effort of thinking and what is my opinion and how I feel about this, and always do that. Like, don't get lazy because it's easy to get an answer, right? You don't want to get spoon-fed things by people. You don't want to get spoon-fed things by a language model, because at the end of the day, somebody made that, right? Somebody coded his limitations, somebody coded his limits, and you have to keep that in mind. Like, not everything is his own thing. And that's why I find it silly when people talk about AI as if it's something that fell out of the sky, right? Like, it's not like AI negates the human beings just because AI has been created by human beings and is like the result of work that started many years ago in the 60s and in the 70s on data science and neural networks, and is a result of very smart people who, you know, like Legos, a research paper here, a research paper there. And on the other hand, the hardware part, some very smart engineers that define and develop and improve hardware so that these models are now possible. Because even if we had all the pieces on one sense, but we didn't have the physical means to put it into deployment with hardware, we wouldn't have them. So it's like so many thoughts and components and great minds that came together to give us something that frankly can allow us to live much better and live much easier, right? So don't take it as something that you know, fell out from the sky and magically appear in your backyard. No, it's a result of many years of work and thought and perfectioning. So it's not like AI is oh, we are fucked, the machines are took over. No, like, that was something that someone with very good intention worked towards and strived towards because they were trying to help you live better. And of course there is gonna be people trying to take advantage of that and see how we can use this as a way to squeeze more out of people and make them even more unable to think, unable to do. Because that's another real problem. Like, we are all forgetting how to do things, right, on our own. And when you start putting robotics in the mix, and you're just gonna have, you know, your own personal robot or your own personal assistant that potentially can do everything for you, where your sense of self and utility is gonna go, who knows, right? That's why learn how to do things with your hands, do things with your hands. So if everything goes down, you don't find yourself like a fucking caterpillar in your cocoon, unable to sustain yourself and your family, right? So you still want to know how to do things, and if you use AI as a way to learn how to do more things and think about higher things, as opposed than something that takes away your need to think or your need to do, that's the answer. And you can become a much better version of yourself if you use this tool in this way. Because if to try something and to iterate something before you needed a certain amount of time, now you're gonna be able to do that much quicker. You're gonna be able to see, oh, is this a good idea, or am I tripping, or do I have something here? You can do all that much quicker and get to a result in a much more efficient way. So the potentiality of yourself as a human being greatly improve, and the things that you're gonna be able to do are, who knows. So leave it like that. Leave it as a tool, not as a something that takes away from you the need to think or to just be a human. All right? Talk to you later.